there are politics involved in this, but can you guys help us? So we started putting together an offer for AT&T, which at the time, for political reasons, didn't quite progress. But then, guess what? 2 years later, 3 years later, StrataCash buys Scala. Guess what? I'm sure that some of the seeds we planted, back when, in 2012, 2013, had to do with the fact that, AT&T felt that they needed to refresh their software pool for McDonald's. Otherwise, the whole thing was going to fail. And then eventually, StrataCash came and bought Scala in 2016. It's been 2 years ago or something like that.
Gotcha. And I guess broadly speaking, including Scala, how big would that joint company be?
The joint company, I can tell you back in the days when I was there in 2015, the company was, and revenues worldwide were in the $30+ million range.
Oh, okay.
I know it's continued to grow. I know a lot of the people there. I probably hired a lot of the people there. But I know it's continued to grow, but obviously Scala, remember, it was only software and services, okay? And StrataCash had not only the software, some of the services, but a lot of hardware, a lot of installation and all that. So StrataCash, in terms of business model, had and has a model that was similar to the model of RMG Networks. Back to my own personal story without spending any time on it. I was attracted to RMG Networks because the concept of the new RMG Networks was that, we're going to have our own software, we're going to have our own services, but we're going to be our own systems integrator. So yes, we'll use channel partners here and there whenever it's necessary, but at the same time, we're going to be able to build our own projects, manage our projects, and do the whole thing ourselves, StrataCash business model has been, from the get-go, has been we have a piece of software, etc., but we're our own system integrator, so what is StrataCash in terms of revenue today? I have an approximation, but I don't know precisely. It's probably in a few $100 million at this point in time. According to Chris Riegel, and so far, anything he's the CEO of StrataCash, anything he said has proven to be true. He wants to have, and he said this last year, so I guess there are 4 years to go, that in 5 years he wants to have a $1 billion revenue company. I believe it. I believe he has the resources and the mindset and the vision to make that happen. What it is today is probably a couple of $100 million or something like that. But this is my estimate. Please don't. This is not in any way, shape, or form any data to which I have access. This is my estimate, based on my knowledge of the company and the market and all that.
Right. No. We're not going to hold you to that. It was just sort of obviously all these, you mentioned some of the smaller companies or the newcomers, and then, it's always thinking enterprise software. It's always hard for small companies to compete with incumbents. But I guess based on even these estimates, it doesn't sound like the incumbents were very large in any case.
No, there was it always has been, and I'm guessing if the StrataCash acquisition of Scala is any sign of the future, there is a trend towards consolidation, but it's always been, from the day one I've joined Scala, has been a very, very fragmented market. A very fragmented market with a lot of fragmentation, not only in the number of providers in the market, but also fragmentation of the types of things that you need to actually make a product, to actually structure a project, manage a project, finance a project, and all those kinds of things, which I imagine, based on your line of work, interests you folks. But I remember back when I took responsibility for EMEA at Scala, I was asked to please go explain to the board the food chain, as it were, the value chain, in the case of one of the industry, because the board at Scala didn't understand what the devil was going on. I didn't understand it either. So I took a project. There was a client